From the heart of ancient Persia to the modern metropolis of today, this is the story of Iran.
At its peak, it ruled over 44% of the world's entire population. It stretched from Greece to India, from Egypt to Central Asia. Its kings were called the King of Kings. Its armies were the most feared on earth. And yet, most people have never truly heard its story. This is the entire history of Iran, the rise and fall of the Persian Empire. Our story begins in 550 BC, when a young Persian king named Cyrus II launched a rebellion against the Median Empire and won. Within 20 years, Cyrus the Great had conquered the Medes, the Lydians, and the mighty Babylonian Empire, creating the largest empire the world had ever seen. But what made Cyrus truly revolutionary was not his military genius. It was his mercy. When he conquered Babylon in 539 BC, he freed all the slaves, including the Jewish people held in captivity, an act recorded in both the Bible and the world's first human rights charter, the Cyrus Cylinder. He let conquered peoples keep their religion, language, and customs. He was not just a conqueror, he was a liberator. Under Darius the Great, the Persian Empire reached its absolute peak. He built Persepolis, a ceremonial capital so magnificent that delegates from 28 nations came bearing gifts. He introduced a postal system, a royal road stretching 2,700 kilometers, standardized weights and measures, and a professional civil service. The empire was the most sophisticated government structure the ancient world had ever produced. Then came his son Xerxes, who built the largest invasion army in ancient history and marched into Greece. At the Battle of Thermopylae, 300 Spartans famously held back his forces for 3 days, but Xerxes burned Athens to the ground. Yet Greece would prove to be the beginning of the end. In 334 BC, a young Macedonian king named Alexander crossed into Persia with an army of 40,000. He was 22 years old. In a series of breathtaking military victories, at Granicus, Issus, and Gaugamela, Alexander shattered the Persian armies. The last Achaemenid king, Darius III, fled in panic and was later murdered by his own men. In 330 BC, Alexander marched into Persepolis and burned it to the ground, some say in revenge for the burning of Athens. The greatest empire the world had ever seen was over. But Alexander was so awed by Persian culture that he adopted Persian dress, Persian customs, and even married a Persian princess, Roxana. After Alexander died, his generals divided the empire. The Seleucid Greeks ruled Persia, but not for long. In 247 BC, a nomadic Iranian tribe called the Parthians rose up and reclaimed Persian lands. The Parthian Empire lasted nearly 500 years, becoming Rome's most feared rival. Their signature weapon? Horse archers who could fire arrows backward at full gallop, the famous Parthian shot. They defeated Roman general Crassus at the Battle of Carrhae in 53 BC, one of Rome's worst military defeats ever, capturing the Roman legionary eagles. Persia had risen again, and Rome never fully conquered it. In 224 AD, Ardashir I overthrew the Parthians and founded the Sasanian Empire, perhaps the greatest era in Iranian history. The Sasanians saw themselves as the true heirs of Cyrus the Great. They built magnificent cities, patronized art, science, philosophy, and medicine. The city of Ctesiphon became one of the world's largest. Its great arch, the Tak Khasra, still stands today. Under Khosrow I, known as the Immortal, Persian civilization reached its peak. Mathematics, astronomy, chess, and polo all flourished. The Sasanians also fought the Roman, and later Byzantine, empire for 400 years in one of history's longest military rivalries. Neither side ever truly won. Then came a force that neither Rome nor Byzantium had ever faced. In 636 AD, Arab Muslim armies, supercharged by the new faith of Islam, defeated the Sasanian army at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah. The Sasanian Empire, exhausted by centuries of war, collapsed within a decade. Iran was conquered and converted to Islam. But here is what makes Iran unique. It was not erased by conquest. Instead, Iran absorbed Islam and transformed it. Persian scholars, poets, scientists, and administrators became the intellectual backbone of the Islamic Golden Age. The Abbasid Caliphate, centered in Baghdad, was largely run by Persian minds. Iran had lost its empire, but its civilization conquered its conquerors. Even under Arab and later Turkic rule, Iranian civilization flourished as never before. Ibn Sina, known in the West as Avicenna, wrote the Canon of Medicine, a medical encyclopedia used in European universities for 600 years. Al-Khwarizmi invented algebra. The word itself comes from his book. Omar Khayyam solved equations and wrote the Rubaiyat, poetry so beautiful it's still read today. Ferdowsi wrote the Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, 60,000 verses preserving the Persian language and identity. Rumi's Sufi poetry on love and God is still the best-selling poetry in the United States. Iran had no army, but it had ideas, and ideas outlasted every empire. In 1501, the Safavid dynasty reunified Iran and declared Shia Islam the state religion, a decision that defines Iran to this day. Isfahan became one of the most beautiful cities on earth, its mosques, bridges, and bazaars drawing travelers from across the globe. But by the 19th century, Iran was squeezed between two superpowers, the British Empire from the south and the Russian Empire from the north. Both powers carved up Iranian territory, extracted its resources, and manipulated its politics. In 1908, oil was discovered in Iran, the first major oil discovery in the Middle East, and foreign appetite for Iran only intensified. Iran was no longer an empire, it was a prize. In 1953, a CIA and British-backed coup overthrew Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who had dared to nationalize Iran's oil. The Shah was reinstated. Resentment simmered for decades. In 1979, a mass revolution erupted. Millions filled the streets of Tehran, and the Shah fled. Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile and declared the Islamic Republic of Iran. 1 year later, Saddam Hussein's Iraq, backed by Western powers, invaded Iran. The Iran-Iraq War lasted 8 brutal years, killing over 1 million people. Iran survived. Today, Iran is a nation of 88 million people, one of the most educated, historically rich populations on Earth, navigating sanctions, regional tensions, and its own people's hunger for change. From Cyrus the Great's Charter of Human Rights to Rumi's poetry of the soul. From the world's first postal system to the invention of algebra. From Zoroastrianism, which directly influenced Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, to the magnificent blue domes of Isfahan. Iran did not just build an empire, it built civilization itself. The Persian Empire fell more than once. But Persian culture, Persian language, Persian poetry, and Persian identity survived every conqueror, every bomb, every sanction. Iran is 2,500 years old, and it is still here. That is the true measure of greatness. Not how far an empire spreads, but how deeply a civilization runs. This has been the entire history of Iran. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.